You're listening to the podcast where we talk about life, sports, family, and everything in between. Welcome to Just Talking Out Loud with your hosts, Ron and Terry.
Welcome to the podcast, Just Talking Out Loud. I'm Ron.
And I'm Terry.
And we're really glad you're here today and hope you're having a great week. We got lots to talk about today. We're going to talk about, would you pay for a service that you didn't ask for? And we have some other subjects we're going to hit on as we go. But this time of year kind of drives me nuts. And I think Terry would agree with me because it's tax time.
You've been on the computer every night.
Oh, my gosh. Screwed up the first time. Really messed up bad the very first time. And then I had to have somebody call me. And then I messed up the state tax. I hate this time of year. And then I have to do Zachary's too.
Yeah. Unless you make him do it.
Yeah. I'll end up.
He is a math major, you know.
Yeah, but he's not he's not an accountant. And then, the reason I did it this year myself is because last year when I took the taxes to somebody, good friend of ours, nice people, I coached Jimmy and, he went to school with Nathan, and then I coached him for soccer for a little bit, but his dad is an accountant, and he looked at me and said, "You sure you want me to do yours?" Because I think it was
too easy.
It was $150,
and it was really easy.
It was easy. I mean, it's easy for him because that's what he does all the time. But for me, it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Well, you get into those sites and you can't get out, or you can't go back, or you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Sometimes it's just. I don't know. Just paying $150 is just because our tax return is free if you do it through TurboTax or TaxAct. It doesn't cost anything. Well, I think it cost me $20 because you have to
file or whatever.
The deposit coming into, they charge you for that. Anyway, it's just this time of year. It just drives me nuts, tax time. And then Terry and I were having this discussion because she was on her phone, and she gets into you get in every once in a while because you do have ringing in the ears, which is, was it?
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus. And she saw this ad, and then she watches, and it's not just that. It's sometimes
there's all kinds of them. There's weight ones. They come on your phone. If you're on your phone playing a game, like if you're, playing cards on your phone, or if I pick up my phone, like if I have your radio station going and I pick up your phone and I go out of your radio station to look at the dog on the camera and come back, ads come up all the time.
Right.
And then sometimes they interest me, but they lose my interest because they're too long. Like weight loss, and they tell a story of, so-and-so's sister, and they went through all this, or the tendinitis I didn't even look at. I didn't even look at the thing.
Well,
what was the one I was doing today? It was incontinence and exercises for incontinence and pelvic weakness. Yes.
And if you have back,
she thought it would help low back problems too.
Yeah, if you have back problems, you don't do certain exercises, and these would take precedent over those.
Yeah, they're not as strenuous because, I can't do Pilates stuff because of my back.
But if those things were, if they were really good, you would think the doctors would use that product. They take an hour to get to the price of the product.
Because they always say they've been to the doctor and they tried the doctor stuff and the doctor stuff didn't work. And then they find something that's, a simple stretch or a series of this or that. And then they want you to buy it. But then they talk for an hour and a half. Sometimes it's only half an hour. And then they want to sell you it at the end. So you think you're going to learn something. So you watch start watching, and they never get to the point and they never teach you because they want you to pay at the end for their video, their product, whether it's a vitamin, whether it's whatever, cream for your face. They've got those out for wrinkle creams and spot creams. But you listen to a long video where if it was really good and they just said, okay, this is for that, spot remover. If you've got a lot of spots, you might try it, but they waste your time.
There's been times you've watched the whole thing.
And I've ordered a couple things, but then they never work for me.
They don't work.
They never.
That's why I'm surprised that you get caught up in Oh, this one, this is it. Well, the exercise thing, though,
Well, I
We never
wanted
got to-
that one. I was hoping she would show me the exercises to see if they're ones I'm already doing, because
Right.
I do exercises and stretches for my back every day that have come through chiropractors and physical therapists each time. But I used to do like a ballet bar stretch, and this last back surgery, they go, oh, no, you're probably hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. But, as progression goes, no one told me to quit doing them. I was, and I may have re-injured my back again doing some of the things I was doing, because they find out more, but they don't put it out there for you to know.
You can get caught up on all this stuff because Facebook, it's always like, do this test and find out what animal is your whatever. It's just weird. You can do all these things and it is like thousands of questions. And I don't have the time. But you get caught up, and I could see getting caught up and watching something that you might be interested, but it's all these pills, and there's just no miracle pill out there anymore.
Well, and that's just it. They go through like a long story. So and so, your mom, your sister, or something had this and went to doctors, and you felt so bad for. And it's like, I don't need your whole story. Tell me how a little synopsis of how you got into this, and then tell me what the product is, and I will decide whether I want to put that kind of money into it. Because let's face it, $20, $30 for a face cream, you can spend that at the store. You can spend up to $100 and some at the store for one that. So why not try a different brand just to see if it works for you? There's certain things you would put out money for, and there's other things that are $200, $300, $400 that you're not going to put the money out. Why'd I waste my time on this?
We've done a couple of the $200 ones too, and they just don't.
Yeah, they say that's plants. You're not getting the right plants or whatever. So okay, my mom has always said, "Oh, Terri has to be low in nutrition on something. She doesn't get enough of some kind of vitamin," because I've always was her sickly child. Mm-hmm. Because I always had allergies, had my tonsils and adenites taken out when I was very young. Was a gross little kid with the snotty nose all the time. I was always on decongestants, which is why they say I have tendinitis now from taking years and years of decongestants and antihistamines. That's when I went to the neurologist and I went to the eyes, ears, and nose specialist trying to get rid of it. Then they said, oh, they don't think there's anything they can do because I was on those for so long. So I quit taking them.
Right.
So now I don't take them at all. I just live with a drippy nose when it comes. I have been very good in the last 6, 7, 8 years. I've been very good. I've only had one major sinus infection, and it was COVID.
Yeah, that was the ringing too, was really bad.
Yes, my ringing was louder right before I had COVID, and then I got the fever, and then the sinuses just stuck in there. And I went through, 2 sets of antibiotics, and still my ears are still gurgling. And that's why at the time, tinnitus, I wonder if they can get rid of this gurgling and ringing in my ears.
Did you watch the one for the pain pill? Was there one for that too?
The pain pill. I
Remember
didn't
the
watch
pain?
the whole thing. I slid. That one actually had a thing you could slid ahead and order a free bottle or something. And so I didn't, and those are the ones you like. If you just have to pay shipping on it, you get try it. You're going to spend $9 to $13 on a bottle of vitamins at Walmart anyhow. So if you're only paying shipping, you're not paying any more than, to try something to see if it works better than what you're picking up at Walmart, like when it's a vitamin like that. But
you haven't taken it though.
No.
But it didn't cost anything, so it's not a big deal.
No, it's like a vitamin. Yeah.
And we have tried our share of just those drinks. Like we've tried
the green juices.
Well, the green juice actually wasn't bad though.
And you know what? I did.
Called?
Yeah, we've done 2 or 3 different green juices, haven't we? And when the one is the Hallelujahs have all kinds of juices.
But the one we tried was called the green juice. Wasn't too bad. Because then they have a red one too now.
I had one the first one I saw was on a TV show years ago. What was it called? I can't remember. But it was in a pill form. You could get it in a pill form or in a drink, and it was
always see
something greens. It was
Shark Tank thing. You say, "Oh, that's got to be good." It's Shark Tank.
But
on those ads, they throw those in there though. See, they throw that in there. The Shark Tank thing. They say, "Hey, this is good because it's on Shark Tank." And that's like a false. I don't know how they get away with that, because sometimes it wasn't.
Sometimes they're not even. Yeah, their product wasn't on Shark Tank. They just take clips from Shark Tank, or they take clips from Oz or whatever, and they say this was on Oz, and then they put their product to that, and you don't know if you're really buying that product or something they've come up with.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that was our little thought, because if you get caught up in that stuff, and it's easy to do because it's, if you're on your phone, and most people are, especially if you're in the bathroom and you're scrolling through, and if you do have time, then I guess if you're in the bathroom and you need extra time, you can watch one of those videos on there. But it takes forever to get to the point of how much does it cost. That's really what anybody cares about, because if you're going to buy it and they give you a 60-day, and do you return it? I guess that's the other thing. How many times have we returned? I think we've done it maybe once.
Yeah. Usually, either you don't stick to something, so you think you need another month on it, and then the guarantee's gone.
It's gone. Because it's only 30 days, and you need 30 days.
Or there's been companies that send it late. Like they count it from the day you ordered, but you didn't get it because they were 2 weeks back ordered. And then,
Yeah.
And then, you only got to try it for 2 weeks, and they want you to make a decision because you're thinking you had 2 more weeks or whatever.
Right. They take it
They
away.
do. Yeah. They do a lot of that.
It's the fine print.
Yes.
Got to read the fine print. So that was something we talked about, because Terry's done it a few times when she's, I'm watching this video, I want to get to the end, and then her phone is dying on her. So then she's got to put it on the charging pad and then and try and watch the rest of it. And it's like, and you had a good point. Well, I don't know, one of us had the point where I'm like, well, if it's that good, why isn't the doctors using that instead? But then some doctors really, other than surgery for the ringing in your ears, is it surgery? I don't even know if you can even do surgery with that.
They didn't even give me that option.
Either answer the ringing or let it ring. I guess that's pretty much it.
I think some kinds, if they find something wrong in your inner ear, they can do something about it. But there's nothing wrong in my ear. They actually found the tones that were in my ear when
they do the hearing
thing, and they knew the tones.
But can they put tubes? Some people have tubes put in there. Can they do that?
But
too?
I don't know if that does anything for ringing.
Oh.
I think that does, but for the gurgling I have, that would probably take it away. It would drain.
But it wouldn't help the ringing. What about sounds? Like some people like to have soothing sounds to help them sleep. So I'm not really.
They have those kind of advertisements on there too.
I'm sure they do. Do you think that would help take away would a soothing ocean sound be better than the ringing? Do you think that would help?
I don't know. I haven't tried that.
I just thought of it. We might have to do a test and then come back.
But
and do
ocean
a podcast
sounds or
on it.
waterfalls would make me get up and go to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, if you drank a lot of water.
Which, I mean, it would make me have to get up and
But
go
right
to the
now you're
bathroom.
doing what they call the Daniel fast, because Terry's just to the point where she's had it.
Can't fit in any clothes.
She's had it, and it's time to, and I think that's one of the reasons why we try different things. We've tried different. We tried the Go Low, which wasn't bad. We got some good recipes.
I have some really good recipes from that. Yeah,
and they were good.
And I did the first couple weeks. I lost weight on it, but then like the third, fourth week when I quit losing, and I only lost a few pounds, and then I just
like plateau.
Yeah, and I don't know what the next step would have been. Probably something like the Daniel fast.
So what is
a fast?
Explain what the Daniel fast is.
The Daniel fast comes from the book of Daniel. Daniel was picked with a bunch of other guys to be in the king's court. And him and his friends did not want to eat from the king's table, the rich foods, the beef, the eggs, the dairy and that. And so he asked them if him and his friends could have just vegetables and water for 10 days, and then they would compare them, and they did better than the ones that ate from the king's table. So they decided his fast was good. But in Daniel, there's 2 fasts. There's that 10-day fast with just vegetables and water, and there's also a 21-day fast where you have vegetables, fruits, lentils, beans, seeds, and nuts, and fruit also on it. And so that one would probably be longer, and that's for a 21-day fast. And you do fast certain meals and stuff. The biblical policy is when you're fasting the meals and stuff, you're spending time in prayer and stuff. But if you just put Daniel fast in your phone, it will tell you it comes from Daniel and that it's biblical, but it will tell you different versions of the diet, and that 90% of the people that do a Daniel fast lose weight.
Okay.
So I'm thinking if I can stay for 21 days.
But right now you're on no water, right?
That is an Esther fast in the Bible.
Oh.
Esther, and that is usually done for a country or a people. The Esther fast was done for the Israelites because why can't I think of his name right now? But he wanted to hang Esther's uncle from the gallows, and he did not like the Jews. He persecuted the Jews. And so before Esther went into the king, because she could have gotten beheaded for going to the king without being called, the Israelite community did a 3-day no water and no food fast for her to go in, and the king went with her and ended up hanging his assistant on the gallows. So that is a fast that's done usually for a certain purpose. I have done it, or just a water fast for a day to 3 days to get sugar out of my system. Whenever I have a lot of sugar in my system, I feel that the ringing in my ears is more. I can feel the difference if I do that, or a water fast from 1 to 3 to get the sugar out of my system to start a diet.
So you're not on the Daniel now, you're on the Esther.
Well, I'm kind of doing a both. I'm kind of doing a combination of fasting.
And it's hard for her because I'm on the eat everything diet. I'm on the ho-ho diet.
Last night was potato chips.
It was potato. I get into these we haven't had potato chips in the house. Well, the ones we were buying,
because I'm always dieting,
was at Sam's, was the ones that Alexis can eat because gluten-free and are a little bit better for you. They didn't have any more, so I bought Lay's. We bought them for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I've been eating those, and I need to make myself a meal so that I can not, just something.
Snack all night.
And, I'm a snacker anyway. I feel like a bowl of cereal right now, as a matter of fact. This is, I hate to change the subject real quick, but I have to because I wanted to mention this and I forgot. This is a epic episode, and the reason I say it's epic is because we are not number 7. A lot of people, when I went on to see how this all podcasting goes, I mean, it's been going on for years, but a lot of people say that they don't reach 7. This is number 7, and we've got a lot of ideas.
Left. We still haven't had any of the kids on.
No, I've got tons of ideas. Zachary's supposed to be in
any kind of sports thing with Nathan.
Yeah,
and Zachary's got.
I've got some great ideas, but we made it to number 7, so that's good. And we want to thank everybody that's taken time in listening. We really appreciate it. Now, our last episode was with your mom, and it was an hour and 40 minutes, and maybe should have done that, like broke it up, but I think it's better to get the whole story and just do it that way.
Yeah, people don't have to listen to it all at one time if
they
don't have the time.
They can pause it and come back. But we appreciate maybe if you listen to that one. That was all about alcoholism and what your family had to go through. But I'm excited that we got to 7, and can't wait to maybe we'll get to 40 and 50. Who knows? But lots of ideas running through my head. So hopefully we'll be able to continue this and have some fun with it. But so Terry's on a diet. So I'd like to go on. I don't know if I could do no water because I love water. That's my go-to. I don't drink anything else. That's all I do. But I just read something where it said there was a myth that said if you're lost in the wilderness you immediately have to find food. And they say that's a myth because you can live 6 weeks
without food.
Without
you can live a long time without
it
food.
was longer.
You cannot live a real long time without water.
I had it on my phone, but it's not there anymore.
And doing without both will deplete your energy. So that's why some people do a juice fast. A lot of people do a juice fast where they either water down 100% juice or the sugars in your system will give you a little bit of energy if you need energy to stay awake through your day.
Well, the fruit is natural, right? I mean, apples and oranges and bananas.
Yes, if you can find 100% fruit juice that doesn't have, or if you have a juicer to juice it yourself.
Because a lot of people do that
But they say to water that when you're fasting just because it's so much sugar. Like if I haven't eaten anything, it's like putting pure sugar in me.
Yeah. I can see
And
that.
I've been told I have a sugar problem. So
you would have if you haven't done it for a while, and it'd be like sugar shock.
yes,
right?
it would be.
And then you'd want more
yeah.
because the more.
Yeah.
It's true that when you start eating something sugar wise, that it.
Yeah, as soon as I have bread or any kind of sugar, I crave sugar.
I know I do. I try to do dark chocolate because they say that's good for you. Rather than, but it's where I work. It's they're bringing donuts every day.
They
There's
do
just
a
no
lot
way.
of that where I work.
Donuts are my kryptonite. I mean, that's especially the
Can we not
cream
talk
filled.
about food?
I'm sorry. Yeah, we are. Yeah, that was dumb when I brought up donuts, and she's on a diet. Let's get into now something that I had seen on Reddit. Now, Reddit, a lot of people know what Reddit is. It's a website where you can get a lot of questions answered, and I used to get on there a lot when I was doing my radio morning show, which I have not done a lot of. I do a little bit in the morning, not as much. In case you're wondering what that is, it's an online radio station, FM7 The Drive. You can find it on Live 365 on TuneIn. Sound like I'm doing a sponsor. I pay myself for the podcast. Have FM7 The Drive pay for the podcast. No, that doesn't work that way because it's just coming out of my own pocket. But I would get on there, and there'd been a lot of interesting stories, and I happened to get on there. And this was one of the stories that we had this major snowstorm a while back. This is going to be episode 7, so it's a little bit away from that. But I thought it was interesting. She put this on Reddit. She asked a question. There was a lady in the Midwest. They had gotten at that time over a foot of snow. And she was in her house, and there was a knock on the door, and there were 4 boys, age 12, at the door. And she opens the door, and they said, "Hi, we just shoveled your driveway and your sidewalk. We'd like $60. So it'd be $15 a piece." Now, I don't know how big the driveway was. I don't know how much sidewalk. But that's what, then they answered she answered, and she's like, "Well, I don't
have $60.
yeah, she said she didn't have any cash. And she's an author. I think she was in her 20s or whatever. And her point was she didn't ask. It wasn't like they came up to the door and said, "Hey, would you like us to shovel the driveway?" They just did it and then asked for money. And then when she kind of turned them away, well, one of the kids said, "Well, you can pay me on Vimo," or I don't know what it is. It's like a PayPal thing on your phone. I guess there's a way you could electronically take it out of your account.
with your
And she's
bank
like,
card.
I don't feel real
Comfortable
safe
doing that. Then you have my number.
So they went away, but it didn't end that way, because then one of the parents came to the house and berated her
For not paying.
But she's like, "Well, first of all, I didn't ask for it to be done.
I didn't have the money on me."
The other thing that was, as the story went on, I started thinking about liability. What if one of the kids
Slip and fall on your walk.
would have gotten hurt, right? She still would have been liable, even though she didn't even know they were out there. Now, I don't know where she was that she wouldn't know someone shoveling. When if I'm shoveling our driveway.
Yeah, most of the time.
You could hear it.
But if I was sick in bed, I might not know.
Well, I don't know if she was sick. I don't know. But so the question was, and then she got berated by this lady saying, you should be paying. But she was like, "Well, first of all, I didn't ask." And she didn't know. For me, if you're, I don't know, about $60, well, our driveway's not very big, and 4 kids couldn't have taken them very long. But when you break it down, $15 a kid, $60, would you pay for that service? I don't know if I'd pay $60 because our driveway's not big enough, but anybody that wants a shovel, I probably would pay them something.
Yeah, if I had $40, that would have been 10 apiece.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had 15, I might have given them what I had if I had any cash at all. I don't know, but you hear other stories out there that football teams or soccer teams or whatever going out to their neighbors, and this is almost like a requirement from their coach that they do community service, and they find the ones like that, but they are, older, that they can't do it, and it's a community service to those people because they can't do it and they may not be able to afford to pay. And so they go, once they find those people, and they do shoveling for them and lawn care, whatever, for them all the time. And it's part of like a community service, and it keeps them in shape for their sport.
I think that happened. As a matter of fact, when that storm hit, I can't remember the school district, it's escaping me, but the coach said, we're not practicing, so I expect you guys to go in the neighborhood. If you have an elderly neighbor, help them out, and that will be your practice, which it is. We didn't have as much snow as she did. By the way, she was 26 years old.
So she could have done it herself.
Well, maybe she was going to get to it
Eventually.
Eventually, she had a foot of snow. And she said she really doesn't have a lot of experience with kids. So she didn't really know how to handle it. She's not one that wants to have kids or been around kids. Not that
Makes
should be an
difference.
excuse.
Yeah.
Because it's just the idea that, I guess my thing would be, if I would probably knock just to make sure, is it okay for me to do, not that I'm looking to shovel snow, but if I know somebody, we do it and for our neighbors, and glad to do it. And because they're, Bill can't get out and Joyce, whatever, but, and that's fine. We do that because that's,
because we want to.
We want to do it.
Yeah. And we would do that pay or no pay.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because to know that if
something
something
should
happened, someone can get in and out of the house
Yes.
without slipping and falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what baffles me about, and I know some kids, that's like the only way they can raise money. You mowed grass when you were young to raise money, but there's usually a price agreement before you start the job.
Yeah.
Kids can even earn money painting fences or whatever it might be, but usually, it's, I'll give you $10 for this, I'll give you $20 for that. You should do that before you start shoveling. You should say, hey,
yeah, get a price up front, or just ask to, because again, there is a liability issue that could be a problem if somebody would have fallen, and because you just never know, they start fooling around, or how kids can be. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was interesting, and I didn't know, I wasn't sure exactly how I felt about it. I think I would have paid I would have paid something.
But if you had no money, like she had no money, because a lot of people don't carry any cash now because everything's direct deposited into your card. You can pay online. You go into your utilities online and you pay everything online. Everything's done online. You use your card at the grocery store. You can use your card at the restaurant. Even when you go through the fast food, you can use your card. So a lot of people don't have cash on them anymore.
That's true.
I on purpose keep birthday money and Christmas money and stuff in an envelope just so I have cash, because sometimes I don't have any cash. Everything's done direct deposit.
Right. Well, kids today, like, again, this kid had this, I don't know if it's called Vimo or it's like an app where you can
Yeah, I know there's a card.
PayPal.
There's a card that you can pay with that your parents can put your allowance on and everything now.
Oh, really?
It's like an app they can put their allowance on, so they can transfer so much money onto their card.
I didn't know that.
They can put an allowance on there. I don't know about doing that, just because my kids actually had to do something to get an allowance, and they were expected to do certain things even when I wasn't paying allowance. And in our house, when we did foster care, we paid an allowance, but when we didn't have foster care, we just let them go to birthday parties, and we bought the present and stuff. Our kids found that, what was better for them to not get an allowance, because they only had so much money to go to that birthday party. They had to take it out of their money for a birthday gift and stuff like that. And a lot of times when we weren't giving an allowance, they just picked out what they thought the kid was interested in, and we paid for it. So to them, it was kind of worth it to do the chores and not get an allowance, because also if they wanted to go to a movie with friends, we just doled out the money.
Well, the chores weren't difficult anyway.
No, but it did help the house, especially when all of them were here. Zachary was only 2, and he did shoes. But we had, 5, 6 kids here sometimes, so the shoes piled up on the entryway really fast. So he was every other day taking and putting everyone's shoes. He had to wipe them off if they were dirty. So if it was like right now, there was a towel, or it was just an old towel that he wiped, and then he would give everyone their shoes.
He wiped their shoes? I don't remember
He put them on a towel, and made sure they were shook off so that he wasn't taking dirt up the stairs or whatever. But say, Tiffany would have 3 pairs of shoes, and so he would take them up to her room and put them inside her door, and he would take them to the boys' room and take his to his, and it just kept the entryway. And then one of the kids would have to mop sweep and.
Okay, so it was our shoes, not people coming in shoes.
No, it was just.
He wasn't doing a service to somebody else.
No, it was
shoes.
just our shoes that would get piled up after 2 days. So, but he was only 2-3 years old when all the other kids were older. So I had to find something for him to do, because I had a chore charge. So that was like something. Okay, what can he do that he won't mess up and it won't look like a 2-year-old did it?
Well, I think the only thing that we really asked was, make your bed and keep your room, as clean as possible. I mean, it wasn't like we didn't go through it. It wasn't, and they were all, Nathan was probably the neatest. Well,
yes, he was. Him and RJ would get in fights over RJ leaving something on his side of the room.
He was and he didn't like, he had his own, he didn't want anybody laying on his bed.
He didn't want anyone sleeping in his bed, and RJ'd have a friend over when he spent the night someplace, and he'd make me wash everything. Comforter, sheets, pillowcase, everything had to be washed before he would get in that bed again. So I knew if someone was in Nathan's bed, I just stripped the bed and put it into the washing machine so that Nathan doesn't smell anyone's smell on his bed, because he will make me wash it.
Yeah, He was our, he liked to have things. He knew they were clean. I'm sorry, but I don't blame him.
Until we went to college. He came back from college and he didn't shut his drawers anymore. Everything hanging out of him.
He gets that from you.
I think because their room was so little and they didn't have enough space to put like his exercise clothes, and he was he worked out or played sports or something all the time, that he just got to have a dirty pile in the hamper, and the hamper was always overflowing. And so he just learned to live messy then.
Yeah, they all have it's funny how you have 3 boys. We have 3 boys. RJ's the oldest, Nathan, and then Zachary. And they all have their own little quirks, like we all do. But we couldn't be more blessed for the 3 boys we have. I mean, we've been blessed, no doubt about it. And it's you were talking about leaving drawers open. I have this running gag that they're all closed. Yeah, all the drawers. I'm looking. We're in the sunroom. We're broadcasting from our sunroom, because I really don't have a dedicated spot yet. I'd like to have one, but I just don't. But Terri likes to. And I understand why she does it, but she'll get in the kitchen and she's got all the doors are open, the drawers are open, and I say, "Oh, look, Hurricane Terry's been here." Diane gets a kick out of that when I say that. But anyway, you're saying, I got to get back in there. That's your thought process is.
I'm looking for spices. I use more than one.
Yeah, you're using and I don't know. I mean, as the 2 of us, I don't have to worry about lights being on. We don't complain about none of that stuff.
You are always after kids about lights being on.
Well, Or they used to have sleepovers, man. You'd have Nerf. We're still picking Nerf. Even with my godchild Ian, sometimes we'll have battles. I'm still finding some of those Nerfs. We had that gun that I had to return, those little ones. I'm still finding. I found one the other day in the hallway, back behind this little...
After Mr. Clean's been there.
Yeah. You believe... Yeah, Mr. Clean,
that's my name for Ron.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Clean. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to ask Terri if she likes to drink out of a plastic water bottle. You might be surprised why that's not a good idea. So you want to start a podcast, maybe you're listening to the show today and you're thinking to yourself, boy, that would be fun, and I have a lot of things I want to talk about. Maybe today is the day. Maybe you're looking for a new marketing channel, or you have a message that you'd like to share with the world, or you just think it would be fun to have a talk show. And it is a lot of fun, just talking to your friends. Maybe you have ideas about sports, life, or whatever your passion is. Today's the day. Podcasting is easy, it's inexpensive, and it's a fun way to expand your reach online. And where should you go? Buzzsprout. It's hands down the easiest, and it's the best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. And your show, believe it or not, can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories in minutes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and you wouldn't believe how many more there are. And they make it simple to join all of them. Podcasting is not hard when you have the right partners, and Buzzsprout is the team to join. They are passionate about your success. You can join over 1,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout. We're one of them. We've been on Buzzsprout from the beginning, and I'm so glad I joined up. I had a little bit of an issue, emailed a customer service rep, and they got back to me within 5 minutes, and they had me calm down. It wasn't that hard, and what I was doing was my fault. So here's all you got to do. Click on the link in the show notes. It tells Buzzsprout we sent you. You can support our show, and if you get a paid plan, you get a $20 gift certificate from Amazon. Now, here's some other things that Buzzsprout provides. Like, you get a great looking podcast website. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I got to get a website, got to pay for that. No, you don't. They provide it for you. Also, they have audio players. Maybe you have a website. All you want to do is promote your show on your own website. You can do that with their audio players. And you can also drop it into other websites and on Facebook or Twitter, and they help you do it all. Believe me, Buzzsprout is the way to go. They've helped me immensely, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. So maybe today is a day for you to start your podcast. And if you do, check out the link below in the show notes and get a $20 Amazon gift card. All right, welcome back. So I just read this thing. As we exercise, right? I've been using that stainless steel water, and I love that thing that Jeff bought us for Christmas one year. And for the longest time, I didn't. But they were saying now that they did this study at the University of Copenhagen, and they're finding that reusable plastic bottles that we use for drinking water is not very good.
Well, if you leave the water in overnight, like I found if I put ice water at my lunchtime and say I have just an inch left over at the end of the day and I'm out of there at 3, I throw it in the drawer. If you drink that the next morning, if you sip it, it tastes like plastic.
Well, they were talking about,
it tastes like plastic.
Some people, okay, if you have a water bottle, if I put 4 different brands of water bottles in front of you, like, what is it? Dasani, Nestle has a water, and there's a bunch. Do you think you'd be able to tell the difference? Like, would you think there'd be
no, because they're all in plastic, and I think depending on how long they've been out and what they're dated, or if they've been in the heat or anything like that, they're going to taste more like plastic.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, people think that each brand has its
different.
Own taste in its water.
Well, because some of it's spring water.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Springs do have their own taste because they have different minerals in them.
I think we should do that one day, is have different bottles of
water and see if we can taste the difference. So
anyway,
we'll have to do a little fast before that so that we have our
that's
taste
true,
palette.
We'd have to go pee, too, in the middle of our broadcast. But So they had found that they found hundreds of chemical substances in tap water stored in soft plastic reusable bottles.
But mine's hard plastic, and it still tastes like plastic.
Well, yeah, I think the longer you leave it in, the worse it gets. And I do agree with you. If you leave now, I will say this with the stainless steel that I've been using. I get up in the morning because I'll take my medicine and I'm thinking, should I dump this out? It tastes. It's not only is it still cold, it's not a Yeti.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's insulated
type. Yeah.
But it tastes good. It's still cold. In fact, sometimes I'll forget to dump it out. I'll come home from work, because I fill it up with ice. I'll come home from work and it will still be cold. That thing's amazing. I don't know what brand it is. It's made anyway. Now I don't know. Now they say that. In fact, it says right here that you should use a stainless steel container for water, because even the dishwasher, after putting the plastic water bottle in the dishwasher, they found substances 24 hours after, like it's been cleaned. It's in the soap, and it's all in that bottle, and just not even putting water in, just swabbing it after a dishwashing, cleaning.
So I have that Trinity stainless steel one. I'm going to take it to work. I'll start drinking out of that.
It says the dishwasher soap held over 400 different substances, some of which they didn't even know what it was. Some of the bacteria in it. And they're saying now that maybe we should have more regulation on the plastic, but I don't know. I mean,
how can you tell?
Yeah, I'm not. I guess what
plastic is easy. You don't have to worry about dropping it and breaking it.
Yeah, if you're at the gym, I mean, if you clean it out really good, but according to this, it's saying that more than 3,500 substances were from the dishwater soap itself. So even cleaning it I would think. See, that's how we don't have a dishwasher anymore, but that's a subject for another time, because we do miss it. Although there's only two of us, it's not as bad. We've been using a lot of paper products,
which is not good for the environment.
I know that but it's a lot easier when you just throw it away and don't have to clean. But so my thought is, even after using it in a dishwasher, if it still has that many chemicals in it. So, and then I think, okay, what about a water that I pick up from a store? The water bottles, the plastic container, like what are they?
Like I said, those, if you leave them in the sun for long enough, they'll taste like plastic also.
Yeah, that's why I got to be careful with the pool. We store a lot of water down there in bottles, but I try to keep up to date on that. But I thought that was interesting because as I was using a plastic water bottle for a while there until I found that stainless steel. And that is and I know a lot of people like to use the Yeti. Yeah, that's supposed to be we have a cooler down at the pool that we use, and it does keep things cold. Even on the 90 degrees the next day, there's still ice in it. Yeah. But I thought that was interesting that these water bottles are keeping all of these chemicals inside the bottle itself. So what do you do? I mean, other than change, and it is easier. It's a lot easier to carry around a plastic bottle. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but you might have to go from stop if you're not feeling well.
And like right now in the schools, the water fountains are off because of COVID. So you have to, but they do have one. They have a couple through the school that you can fill your water bottle. Well, then a couple kids got COVID and they said it was from using the water fountain. They said, how were they using the water fountain? They were putting their hands underneath there after the people filled their water bottles. They were putting their hands and drinking out of their hands. Maybe coming from gym class, they were thirsty. They didn't have a water bottle, so they were drinking out of their hands and caught it that way, which they're misusing the fountain. But, when are we going to get back to normal? Who knows?
I think we're getting a little bit closer because a lot of even Democratic governors are starting to ease up on the mask and stuff. Although, I mean, we'll have to see where that goes. But
a lot of people have had it now. It's gone in rampage different places in the country.
I don't know whether to bring it up or not, but I'm going to bring it up. when we were able to, it's a moment that I won't forget for me. You were not here at the time. So my grandson comes to see us. Terry was in a church. You were in a class. And they bring the baby in, and I bring him in, and he hadn't seen us in a while because I was afraid he's going to cry. And we had all just gotten over, getting it. And so I put him down, and Lauren was standing there, and I said, "Oh, I don't have my mask on." She goes, "Give your grandson a kiss." And I told her, I said, "I'm going to need a minute," because I was tearing up because I didn't really realize the impact of, and listen, no one wants to bring up a child in the middle of a pandemic. That wasn't her fault. She needed to do what was best for her
and the baby.
And 100%, I understand we had no issues. We did it. But I didn't realize, I don't think, until that time I didn't have to wear it and giving him a little kiss or having that, not even knowing if he knew what I looked like without the mask. We had seen him a lot before all that.
And we tried to do the clear plastic parts in the mask so he could see our lips so he wouldn't,
And he was seeing your Green Frog.
Green Frog.
Mana at work, she knows that song. She was.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she said, "Oh, Green Frog," so she might be doing that for
her grandbaby.
For her grandbaby. But anyway, that was a moment that I will just, I cherish. And I used to think, well, it's a mask, but it's when you are in the middle of all this. We didn't get to see him for the longest time because of, he was born
premature.
3 months, premature. And then just to have that, I don't know, there was just something about that interaction with him, and then now that we're seeing him without it, it's just, oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe
I just hope the numbers don't go back up so we have to put the mask
certainly
back
hope
on. I
not.
still wear the masks at school when I go through my walk. When I'm going to be around a lot of people, I do.
Yeah.
When I'm in my
Same
little
here.
cubicle, I take it off and do my own thing. There's just me and the girl that relieves me from lunch.
I think we have to do what's best for us. I mean, you're still going to have to watch, and hopefully we can get through this and, nobody's getting sick. Although my boss now, Joe, he was out for 5 days, but he didn't have it. But because of certain symptoms, and that's what I'm wondering what we're headed for.
And he's already had it, hasn't he?
Like
so I'm thinking, okay, so if I get the sniffles, they're going to make me quarantine again. I've already had it. I shouldn't
I think they are.
be able to get it at least for 90 days. If I get the sniffles, I shouldn't have to take more days.
Like, if you take a sick day, here's what I was thinking too. If you take a sick day, our company is going to be like, okay, what do you have? It's going to be hard. To me, it seems like it'd be hard to take a sick day after all this.
Well, a lot of times you take a sick day to go to the doctor.
Yes.
Like you can't fit your doctor's appointments in if your doctor's office doesn't have night or weekend hours. Like Zachary took a sick day this week to go to the doctor and get blood work. So,
well, I think times have changed. I honestly do not think we'll ever be going back to the office full time. I really don't. I think that companies have found that, well, let me say this.
And snow days are gone in the schools.
Yep,
I mean,
snow days
because
are gone.
we have, the only thing is, I don't know how the schools are going to keep up with the technology, keep up with the Chromebooks, the fixing of the Chromebooks. It's a big, big expense for the schools. But if we can do remote days when it's snowing outside, it has been a problem lately with the ice. A lot of people's internet and power went out. So then but the teachers are posting something on, and when your power comes back up, you do it. So you come back Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whenever it is, prepared for class. But
I feel bad, though, because kids will never know really what a snow day is.
Oh, the fun of a snow day. That was a fun. We put our coats and hats on and went out and sled.
I mean,
snowball fights. And
when you were able to, I remember when I was young, when going downstairs, or not downstairs, in the kitchen, and Mom would have the radio on, and at that time it was KDK, and we'd be waiting for that, the Trinity to say, hey, we got either a 2 hour delay or cancel. And that kids will never know today's kids will never know what that's like.
And I don't know if it's as exciting for them anyhow, because they're all into their video games and this and that. They don't go outside like we did.
That's probably true too. And I think the opposite thing of that. Okay, so if you don't have the snow day, then you get out on time. You don't have to put extra days in and lose your summer.
Right.
So that's, it's give and take right there, I think, right?
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay, so Terri and I, what do we learn today on our little podcast before we close things up? We learned that plastic water bottles are bad. So don't drink out of those. I don't know if we learned anything about would you pay somebody to do a service or not. I think I would.
I think we learned to ask before we do the service.
Well,
if you're the one doing the service, ask if they want it done, number one. And number two, if they were, because some people may be willing to pay $40, $50 for the same service other people or only will want to pay $5 or $10 for.
Yeah, I think you have to set
and
up
some
a price.
people expect a lot for a little bit of money because
I don't know if it's 4 kids, 12 years old, shoveling snow. I don't know how big the driveway was. Maybe they thought that was a fair price. $60 is a lot of money if you don't have a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I mean if you're living on a budget, and especially if you're raising kids, maybe only one income. That's way too much to pay. Of course, if you're raising kids, you have them out there shoveling.
We also learned that I don't like tax season, but I also don't like paying to have my taxes done. So I'm just going to have to learn to use nicer words when I screw up. That's probably... There were some other things I wanted to talk to you about that I asked you before, and maybe we'll do this on the next podcast, is something to think about. The grossest thing that I do that you think is gross and the grossest thing that you do. We'll talk about that the next time. But that'll do it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Have a great week. And I'm Ron.
And I'm Terri.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show.